On this episode of Game Shack, some of you guys have asked me why I have an interest in buying a 4KP when I own a better, higher-end virtual pinball game. Well, there's actually a lot of reasons, including a couple that might surprise you. All right, all that and more coming up next. Hey everybody, welcome on back into the Game Shack. I am your host, JDV for Evil Genius Entertainment. Thank you for stopping by the shack. If you dig this kind of content, please give me a thumbs up on the way out the door. It really does help. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell if you have. Maybe share this video. And if you really want to help me out, you can buy me a coffee. Information down below. All right, before we jump on into the meat of the episode, I want to let you guys know a couple of things. One, I did a really involved, in-depth review of this machine already that you might want to check out there if you haven't already and you have questions about this machine. Number two is that AtGames did send me this machine for review. No money has exchanged hands. I don't work for the company. I never have worked for the company. They haven't made me promise to review this thing positively or anything like that. They don't get to see this video before you do. I'm trying to keep this as unbiased as I possibly can. As always, don't rely just upon my opinion. Go out there and do your research. Check around, look at other videos, things like that before you drop your hard-earned cash on any machine. All right, before I go any further into this, let me tell you a little bit about this rig. Right off the bat, you can go check out my series on how to build your very own 4K pinball machine if you are inclined to do so. Now, really the meat and potatoes of this particular rig is the fact that it has a 42-inch OLED 120 hertz screen on it. And of course it has the PC with enough firepower to run it. It's a fairly higher end gaming machine with a 3060 Ti, I think, in there. There's a pretty beefy GPU in it, and I have a separate fan on it. It also has a nice 32-inch screen. It's got that nice DMD that you would maybe see on a normal pinball machine. But despite the fact that it is such a good looking and good playing machine, once I get it on, there are a lot of reasons why I still love this machine and have ended up playing it every single day in the last 3 weeks, to the exclusion of this one. So let me just run down a couple of reasons why that is right now. First reason right off the bat is the fact that to turn this thing on, you just go under here, you flick on a switch, and wait a couple of minutes, bam, you're playing pinball. To make this guy work, I have to turn on the PC, I have to turn on the fan, I have to turn on 3 separate screens, I have to turn on the sound system from 2.1 to 7.1 because Windows 10 just refuses to recognize my sound card. If I don't do that, I've got to go in and start my front end. There are a lot of hoops that I have to jump through to get this thing to where it is ready to rock and roll. Like almost 10 minutes worth of pretty constant, doing something to get it up and going. Here, I just flip one switch, and boy, is that a time saver when you only have a couple of minutes to play pinball, say maybe 15, 20 minutes before dinner time or before work or something like that. And every minute counts. Being able to just flick a single switch and jump in there and play is a huge advantage that it has, at least over my build. Another thing I love are the online leaderboards. I don't know if such a thing exists for VPX or Future Pinball, but if there is, I'm not really interested in it. It is, however, very interesting to me to try to crack into the top 50 on any of the pinball games that this machine has available, because you guys are pinball gods, apparently. I mean, there's some maddeningly high scores on here, particularly for Adam's family. I mean, you guys, whew. I need some autographs is what I need, because man, you guys put up some monster scores. Plus you log in automatically now. You don't have to go through that rigorous rigmarole of putting in all your information to go online and put your online scores on. Nope, you turn on the machine, it's connected, assuming you have internet. There's your high scores, it lets you know if there's a firmware update, lets you know about game packs. All of that stuff happens now without having to do anything, no sign in at all. That's just not true, of course, with this, because there's no leaderboards at all. So talking about firmware, that's another thing that I like about this game is that if there's something new out there, you just go over to it, click over. Is there a new update? Yes, no? If yes, you download it. If no, just go ahead and play pinball. It's that simple. Same thing with the pinball packs. The Gottlieb pack should be out next week. And when they are, it's going to let you know. Then you can go over to the store and buy whichever one of those games you want. Download it to your machine, bam, you're playing Now you know, I mean, it's very slick, it's very not time consuming, unlike doing your own virtual pinball game, which, you know, you have to constantly be on there for looking and seeing if there's updates for your machines, where this one just tells you if there is and does it automatically. It's another thing that I love in terms of the ease of use about this machine. Another kind of ease of use type of machine is the fact that they're cord management. There's no cords hanging down this machine. All that you have on this machine is a power cord. That's it. Even if you want to do OTG, now it's all in the back. You could put a small mini computer on the backboard there and not have any wires showing at all. When you compare that to the rat's nest of mad scientist cords I have going underneath my machine, and you very quickly begin to appreciate the cleanliness of this one, the clean look. That's how it looks like a real pinball machine, which doesn't have 1,001 cables and speakers and amps just hanging off the side. To hide all of the cords that you need to do for your own virtual pinball build, specifically if you're running a surround sound type setup, is very lengthy. There's a lot of time involved in putting everything away. Here you don't have to do any of that at all. You just put the back box on, put in the power cord, bam, done. So again, time saved, cleaner look, better looking. Speaking of better looking, it's always nice to have another pinball machine in your arcade. Now, while I've got this machine looking pretty slick, hey, this machine looks great too. And one of the things that this is the size almost exactly of a modern day Stern. And so when you compare this machine to that, just in terms of its size and looks, this thing holds up really, really well. It doesn't look out of place next to essentially a real sized pinball game. That's another thing I look is that, hey, it offers a little bit of opportunity for a different look. And for a guy like me who makes horror movies and everything, having an Addams Family type theme game is fantastic. You know, I went with Star Wars because, you know, Star Wars, right? But it's really nice to have another skin on another type of pinball machine in my arcade. Another thing that this machine does that my machine doesn't is it has a built-in plunger and it has a built-in accelerometer. I didn't put either of those things in my build for a couple of reasons. One, you need to have a special encoding board to do it. You can't just use a stock $20 encoder that you might have laying around from an Arcade 1-Up build or that you can get off of Amazon. You have to get one that will recognize a plunger and accelerometer. When I was building this, I was pressed for time. I did not want to mess around with that. I didn't want to have to learn how to make an accelerometer or a plunger work. I just didn't want to mess with that at all. I just rely upon the nudge buttons on this, which is fine and doesn't bother me at all, but it is nice to be able to play a machine that does have a plunger and will react negatively when I push hard on the machine. I guess the greatest compliment I can give this machine is it makes me as angry as a real world pinball machine does, and sometimes I give it a little whack, I can't lie to you, and if you do, it's going to react in the game. You will tilt the game or move the ball or whatever like that. That is a very nice thing to have when you don't have it in your other builds. And so if you're playing pinball on desktop, or like me, you built your own rig, but it doesn't have that included in there, it is very nice to have a plunger and accelerometer. Another thing I like is the fact that you can get games that are unique to this system. So basically the Magic Pixel games, you can really only play those on either the HD or 4KP from AtGames. There are a few of those Magic Pixel games that I really, really do enjoy, and that includes the Nautilus game. It includes those Natural History Museum games, the one with the dinosaur and the one with the woolly mammoth. Those are fantastically fun games. I've enjoyed playing those games quite a bit, and I can't play them anywhere else other than on the 4KP. So again, it gives me a little bit of a different experience from this machine because it does have a plunger, it does have the accelerometer, it has a different look, the things are just slightly different, and I can get some games that I can't play on this other rig. All right, so that's really it. I mean, I don't know, maybe none of those reasons mean anything to you, but they do mean something to me. I mean, the clean look, the ability to download firmware that should work, the game packs, the cord management, some of the things that I don't have on here, like a plunger, an accelerometer, the fact that it really does encourage you to play pinball games, for instance, by having those online leaderboards. There is a lot of stuff to like about this game, even though you might have a technically better pinball machine sitting right next to it. All right, I hope you guys liked this episode. Please give me a thumbs up if you did. Subscribe if you haven't already. Love each other. And until next time, I'll see you guys in the Game Shack. Mwah!
Be sure to visit evilgeniusentertainment.com for exclusive content, swag, casting call news, and much, much more.